Week 9 matchup now between Comeback Kids and Seven Deadly Sins. I am joined for tonight's cast by General Dill and
Hello.
Front Lash,
Hey, what's going on?
and as per usual, Fleeing Pandas around here somewhere.
Hi.
Um, so right here we have a matchup between. This is essentially two teams that both have a very inside track at the second seed going into playoffs. I believe Comeback Kids are sitting at 12 points with 2 matches left to play, meaning they have a potential for 18 points still. While
That is correct.
Seven Deadly Sins, I believe, are sitting at 14 points. Am I right?
Correct.
Yes.
With one match left to play, and this is it.
Yeah.
So a potential 17 points for them.
Right. Most likely, what you're going to see is if one of these two teams can 2-0 this match, that will be your second seed. It's not a guarantee, but that's most likely the case.
Right.
So for Comeback Kids, we have Jingle 1996 and Silent Taco, the jungler, Pukaki Poro, the mid laner, and OG Krimakri with Violet Socio Cat make up the bot lane. John, you want to run us down Seven Deadly Sins?
Sure. Seven Deadly Sins. Today they have their top laner Light Pulse 94. In the jungle is Jingo Unchained. They have Balakastran in the mid lane, Jirachi 80 carry with Symphonic Salute on support.
And he'll be subbing in. Second match this week that he subbed in for that team actually played in their match. I think it was yesterday. Was that yesterday that they? Or was that
Yes.
Tuesday? Yesterday was Tuesday.
So yes.
Wow.
Yes, he played last night.
Also, we are a little bit behind. We've already got bands coming out, so Comeback Kids have banned Jin first, Seven Deadly Sins followed with an Ivern ban, and then Comeback Kids have banned Alawi in response. And after the match from last night, I'm not surprised at all to see that Alawi ban.
Well, I know Jingo likes to really play a lot of those melee tanks, the Maokai. I don't know if he's played the Nautilus, but I mean, if he can play the Maokai, he can play the Nautilus.
Right.
And those really just don't do well into Alawi, so I don't blame that ban.
No, Alawi, especially after having Black Cleaver, really punishes champions that like those long extended fights.
Exactly. And we have a Zac ban coming in as well against Taco, and then a Jace ban. They're going to double ban Light Pulse.
I was
So we're
wondering about that.
So we're going to see him on something different than we've seen him in a while. I know he played the Nautilus the other night, but he's already told me he ain't going back onto a tank.
Yeah, it didn't really work out too well for them.
No.
He's not the greatest of tank. He definitely thrives playing on those carried top laners out there.
I am a little intrigued at the Jin ban. I don't really know that to be something that Jirachi prioritized. But hey, maybe they know something I don't. And then the Maokai ban coming back against Jingle. So we're going to see Jingle. Jingle, that's probably been his most played as a Maokai. It's not to say that he hasn't been able to play other stuff. He's played the Rumble. He's played the Kennen. I don't remember what other tanks he's played, but I know he's played other things and had success on them. So it'll be interesting to see what he picks up. I'm really excited for this top lane match. You could make very strong arguments for both of those top laners as far as like the style of top laners, with Jingle being more kind of tank teamfight oriented and Light Pulse being very solo carry oriented. You could make a very good case for both of them being the top in the league as far as in their style of top laner. So it'll be really interesting to see how those two styles collide.
Yeah, absolutely. We have our first pick coming out for Comeback Kids. They're taking that Malzahar, and that's a bit of a flex. We could see if they put that on support or mid.
It's most definitely a pick for Bukaki Poro. He's played that before in the league, and it's one of his bread and butter champions there. And Violet Sociocat's not really had any time on it, so that one's pretty much going towards the mid lane, and they're right away just showing that hand, daring them to counterpick the mid, right, and just taking what they think will work for them.
I'm a little intrigued at the priority on that, though. I'm not really sure if that's something that Balakastran really plays, or even Symphonic Salute. Although he might, I don't know too well, but it's not really. Malzahar's not really one of the highest priority mid laners, or one of the highest priority champions, really, in our league anyway. So it's just an intriguing first pick.
Unless you're the Will Brooks.
Unless you're Will Brooks.
I mean, this is Bukaki Poro's fourth time playing the Malzahar in this league.
Is it
It
really his
definitely
fourth
is
time?
very prioritized by comeback kids as well
I didn't realize he played it
as
4 times, I
Will
guess.
Brooks from Team Great.
We got a Jinx Trundle coming in. I'm not sure where the Trundle's going to go. Uh, it fits
I
a
would-
carry split push mentality like Light Pulse would have, but I don't know that I've ever seen him play it.
Right. And maybe they picked Trundle assuming that Jingle would go into that tank Nautilus pick or something like that. Maybe like anticipating that or trying to dissuade him from picking that. But yeah, that's something that usually you'd want to hold and just counter pick should that come up. I think that would benefit them more than just taking Nautilus off the table in general. And we might not even see that dissuade them
Well,
from taking it.
especially since Jingle's got the Rumble that he can play, and he's had some very strong performances on it. So we could see him go onto that. He might be getting played a little bit because that could still be a jungle or support Trundle, very flex oriented there. We'll see. We'll see what the rest of this has in store. I'm gonna go ahead and post the link to the stream since we all forgot to do that.
Hey man, I just go where people tell me and run the stream when I'm asked. I don't handle the rest of the nitty details. We see comeback kids pull out the Draven for OG Crimicry and then drop back onto that Thresh for Violet Sociocat. It didn't really work out on their last match when they finally got to play it. It wasn't banned against Team Vi, but maybe they'll be able to make that work for them this game.
Right. And I like the way that Comeback Kids composition is starting to shape because you already know what Seven Deadly Sins' 80 carry looks like. You have Jinx, that late game hyper carry, massive damage champion. And then you have the lockdown of Malzahar, Thresh, and just the absolute monster power that Draven brings to the field. And here we have Seven Deadly Sins responding with Braum pick, which might dampen some of that damage from Draven, but I still think that the Thresh Draven lane is not something to be underestimated.
Well, and that tells us it's either a Trundle jungle or top lane.
Right.
Now, because one of the flex positions is outfield. I imagine we will know they're probably going to save the mid lane pick here. So we're either probably going to see a top lane or a jungler here, is my guess. Although they do likely know, they do likely know the mid laner. I did just. And it's going to be the Ahri. Balakis Train went off on that last night.
So that looks like they're saving what I would assume is their jungle pick, which is interesting since that's arguably one of the less important counter picks.
It could still be the Trundle jungle. I know Jingo. Right. He's got a lot of like pocket pick junglers that he likes to play. He's pulled out the Poppy. He's played the Olaf. Neither of which have been really popular as junglers in our split. So I'll be intrigued to see. I'm not sold that it's a top lane Trundle right now.
Yeah, he's had a few games on Trundle before, so he at least knows the basics of the champion. And
so we have the Kha'Zix pick here, fourth pick for Comeback Kids, and
the
fifth
Shen
pick is Shen.
So Jingle electing into a tank matchup, even saying if that's a Trundle top lane, I'm still going to take the Shen. I'm still going to go with that route. I think we're good. I think we're going to see a Volibear here. That's honestly from Light Pulse. I do think it's a Trundle jungle, and I know the Volibear does well into tank matchups. He could also play the Vladimir, because Vladimir into Shen's a phenomenally free lane for him. And then you have teams have to prioritize a little more MR, which opens up for some of the Jinx damage late game. Wouldn't be an awful pickup in this comp. And if it is a Trundle top lane, that's not going to be fun for Shen come mid to late game. There's just so little that a Shen can do into a Trundle. It's going to be the Wukong. So it's still even kind of flexed. I think that's a Wukong top, though. I do know that's something that Light Pulse has been playing. He enjoys playing it. I'm a little intrigued that they still banned the Maokai with him planning on going if that's the Wukong top, because I know like he really enjoys the Wukong into the Maokai, but maybe they said get rid of the Maokai for team fights, put him onto something different.
Yeah. So we'll just have to see as we move into the selections here.
And
So
we should remind the stream that this is now on 7.5, no longer 7.4. Some of the nerfs and buffs that have come out, looking at the AD carry position especially, a lot of the big picks, Misfortune, Varus, neither of them are present here. We've got Draven versus Jinx, so it's
right,
starting
more
to see-
so.
Life is too short.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, dude.
I was just gonna say, there's the AD carry pool is more so seeing nerfs than it has any buffs. The only two marksmen that were buffed in this patch were Lucian and Kindred. Kindred being a jungler.
And you could argue that Warlords could potentially be a buff for some AD carries, and that Blade of the Ruin King could potentially be a buff, but there's still some debate over that.
Absolutely. And there's just been not very much time for experimentation for these AD carries to try out these new keystones. So I'd be
imagine we'll
surprised if we see anything that strays from the norm here from last patch.
Do you think we're going to see anybody running Stonebond Pact, the new mastery? I think we could see it on the Braum. I think it'd be really strong on Braum. Usually they've been running Courage of the Colossus, but Stoneborn Pact I feel could offer you just a little bit more tankiness from the extra health. I don't know if you guys think that, but
No, I have to agree. Because it's a lot harder for Braum to get that Colossus procced. Usually it was with his ult,
right.
which if you whiff your ult, then you better hope for the stuns from your passive. Otherwise, it's pretty much a useless keystone in that case. Whereas it'll really help out in lane, which is something you need against a Thresh Draven, which is constantly going to be looking to trade while playing a Jinx that just wants to scale in the late game. So,
and if you just hit a Q as Braum, Jinx gets an auto attack in, that's a free pot.
right.
One of the things I will say is I've been thinking that Stonebound Pact could be good on Trundle. And here in the first game of 7.5 Trundle pickup, the thought in my head though is that would be like a Trundle topper support, where it's more about facilitating some of this stuff, whereas a Trundle jungle isn't necessarily as worried about facilitating things for his allies. So
Right. I have to agree with your train of thought there, but I think that what's frequently run on Trundles right now? Would that be Grasp?
Grasp or Fervor.
Even in the jungle, I think Grasp is just going to be so strong because he's just looking for those long extended fights. Although against a Kha'Zix, that might not be what he's looking for, if for no other reason but just to stall for his allies to get there. So it'll be interesting to see. Team 7 Deadly Sins is definitely going to be looking for team fights where I feel that comeback kids are going to be looking to get those picks, to get those quick kills and catch any stragglers before they make any big team fight commitments, because that Braum is going to disrupt the Draven axes mid-fight, and the Wukong ult just has to be respected in this composition.
I think they're two fairly balanced team comps as far as like playing into each other. Shen's going to have a lot of global presence, and I mean, almost any Shen lane, you're not really looking to get ahead, get the rest of your team ahead through making plays across map.
Well, I'd love to hear Dylan chime in on this Shen.
Yeah, you've been playing a lot of Shen too.
Sorry, I was reading patch notes.
You're fine. I know that I would assume in this group of casters, I would attribute you to be the Shen expert of us. How do you feel about the Shen pick with his comp and against the Wukong?
With this comp, it's definitely very nice. You have ways for Shen to get into the enemy team and be that disruptive tank with his Shadow Dash using Kha'Zix's stealth. Able to stealth in, get an unseen Shen ult. That takes Kha'Zix's ultimate is 1 second of 1 second of invisibility. That gives Shen an extra 1 second before the enemy team realizes he's coming in. So they can get a few good surprise ganks off there with an extra man bot lane before the other team realizes. And then Shen alone in the top lane against Wukong. While Wukong is a very, very nice bully, Shen, as long as he can get that get that dodge going at the right timing when Wukong wants to make his trades, he can negate half of Wukong's damage because Wukong really relies on his Q, his crushing blow, to lower the resistances of his enemy and then get in there and get good trades. And if Shen can block that, that takes away more than half of Wukong's damage right there alone, just from the armor shred and the bonus damage on attack. So Shen can play very safe against Wukong, and he should be able to have a nice lane and be able to have good presence across the map.
Shen's nice for bully lanes because at the worst comes to worst, you can just farm under tower. Shen's fairly good at last hitting under tower as long as you get your Q timings figured out. And so if you just get to the point where you have to just give up a little bit of lane priority and just farm under tower, you can very reasonably.
Yeah, and then already being safely back under tower gives you the option to be able to stand united to your allies when needed, because it would force a tower dive to stop that, which is not necessarily the best option, especially for how little Wukong builds into tank in that top lane at the start of the game.
Right. And not only would force a tower dive, but it would force the ulti also, because there's no other way for Wukong to that than with his ulti.
That's what I was going to say, is since this isn't your typical Nautilus top lane or Maokai top lane, he's going to have to blow a significant cooldown. That ultimate, that strong teamfight ultimate with that knockup, he's going to have to blow that if he wants to keep Shen from getting across the map. And you have to really weigh, is that worth it? Because half of Shen's effectiveness from his ult is from that shield alone. Usually it's what prevents a kill from happening in the first place. And him coming through is almost unnecessary in a lot of cases that you see Shen ult his carries. Usually it's just to get them out. They're not turning for a team fight in most of those situations, especially early game.
Oh, yeah. I know one of the most tilting things for Shen is, I'm going to ult into a team fight. Oh, the person I ulted just got popped, and now I'm stuck top lane. Like, it's a little bit of it takes a little bit of a timing and skill learning to really start to understand what it takes to make those cross-map plays. And I don't know how much Jingle has played this Shen. I don't believe he's played it yet in our split. Not to say that you can't pull it off, because, I mean, I pretty much picked it up like 2 weeks before I started playing it in the LCS. So it's certainly a reasonable champion to pick up with not as much experience. But
right, and he does have that champion 4 mastery. How much of that was earned before his rework, we don't know. But I would assume that he knows his way around the Shen.
Okay, so. And I didn't know that. I didn't have that research on him. I'm assuming that was like a large part of that was before rework, because I remember when I was looking up info on Jingle, I didn't really see any Shen games. But that's not to say that like it just didn't come up on his match history that I was able to see. So,
and to follow up on our inquiries earlier, Braum did take the
Stone Bond.
The new
Stone Bond pack.
That's it. And Trundle did opt to go with Grasp of the Undying. So
I like that. The thing about Wukong lanes, if you're playing a Grasp top laner, and it's kind of funny. Like Wukong like can win a trade by just using his clone to get out, but you can actually proc Grasp of the Undying off of his clone. And so if you lose a trade, as long as you get the auto attack, you can lose the trade a little less. It's kind of funny how that works.
Looks like we might have some 5-man cheekiness, but yeah, they're going to get seen by that ward there. And
I'm not in game yet, so you got to roll with this one, John.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, not a whole lot's happening. They get the ward on the blue buff. Comeback kids making a sweep, but I think they know that they've been found out, so they'll make their way back to their respective lanes and to their jungles for a fairly standard start. Although it looks like Light Pulse has made his way down here in anticipation of something breaking out, but I think he's going to head back top here fairly soon.
Really just trying to sneak in and use that Thresh hook and maybe even use the Shen taunt to try and get an easy first blood with the Voidling damage from Malzahar. They just have so much early game damage and lockdown that if anyone from Seven Deadly Sins had wandered into that unwarded, it would have been almost for certain death or a flash gone.
And so it looks like we're going to see kind of similar starts from the junglers. Trundle starting with the red buff. and Silent Taco starting with the blue buff, so they might end up converging in bot lane around level.
Yeah, and this is really interesting to me. That both of the junglers opted to start in the top lanes, because usually you get that stronger leash if you go into the if you start on the bot side. And now here we're seeing Jingo taking a look. He thinks that maybe he can steal the blue away from Ka, but Silent Taco's already taken this blue buff and is going down to red.
I don't know if Silent Taco saw him there, but he could just go straight to Jingo's blue buff right now if he wanted to.
Right.
Although it'd be tricky because his bot lane doesn't have priority. Jirachi and Symphonic Salute would be able to converge a lot faster.
If they knew that it was happening.
Right,
So.
that's the caveat there. We might see level 2 gank top lane. It looks like that's what we're going to see here. It's going to be, can Jingo use the pillar to stop the taunt?
He's got a shadow dash, so he's fine.
I don't think he didn't have pillar yet, so he wasn't able to use the pillar to.
Well, and that's the
negate
thing
the
is,
taunt.
taking pillar second or first would not help you at all. In,
No, it wouldn't.
in the jungle. So it good on Jingle for not blowing any important summoners there.
Oh yeah, and he blew
realizing
the Trundle Flash was used, so that's actually going to be ultimately in favor of Comeback Kids as long as Jingle can sustain through this lane right now, because he is a little bit low, and if Light Pulse gets a good Thunderlord's proc off on him, he's just dead.
He's low, but he's definitely playing that lane well. He was winning trades. See, Blockstron hit the charm onto Bukaki Poro, forced the flash away from that.
So that could be big if we see Trundle make his way. And it looks like did Silent
he picked up the
Taco
blue buff.
get in there? Yeah, he went in there and took the blue buff. He saw the levels, and that's what we were talking about. He didn't have the information that he hadn't gone to his blue buff until he attempted to gank top at level 2. Which
And he
makes
didn't
that
have blue buff.
attempt even
Blockstron
worse.
flashing
It
in
looks
mid
like
lane. He hits the charm on Bukaki Poro.
There we
It takes
go.
him down first blood using that ignite. A flashless Malzahar stepping up too close, and Blockstron flashes in to punish that.
If there's
Flashless
one,
and so.
if there's one thing we learned last night from watching Galactus Strand play this Ahri, it's that with a little bit of a lead,
He can make things happen. He can get scary.
absolutely. You watched that game, didn't you, John?
Yes, I did catch the. I watched for the whole game because that was the second one. I came in on the tail end of the first one, so. Things seem fairly even here in the bot lane. Slight CS advantage to 7 Deadly Sins, but you really can't take that away from Draven all too much. What with the bonus gold for getting those axe catches and whatnot. So we'll see if he can converge on that, make that difference up. So
Yeah. The advantage that Comeback Kids really got was that Silent Taco edged himself out.
I don't know about this
lead.
trade in bot lane. Yeah. If I really wide hook there from Violent Sociopath, but yeah, that fight felt a little odd to me. I don't know how 7 Deadly Sins thought that was gonna go, but I would have been a little sketched out had I been on the Comeback Kids side there. I would have assumed that Trundle was coming in with an engage like that, especially with how far they were pushed up, but they had that ward in the brush that just expired that told them, we're good, just keep fighting, unless he came all the way from Dry Brush, so.
Silent Taco he's getting a pretty good farm lead put together, and he's looking to be in a good situation.
Well,
Start to have some good pressure. He's doing kind of what Kha'Zix needs to do. I mean, Kha'Zix can gank early fairly effectively because the Thunderlords, plus if he can get some isolated Q damage, it can be a lot of damage early. But he's going to have a pretty solid gold lead. He could maybe start getting a little aggressive into Jingo's jungle, provided that his lanes could get enough pressure to make him be able to do that safely.
right. We'll have to see how he plays it, but that lead in the jungle definitely to be attributed to that failed level 2 gang top lane that just wasted a lot of his time and just didn't get anything accomplished. He didn't get a summoner for it. He didn't get meaningful damage.
He lost his own flash.
Right. It was just not a very good use of his time or his resources there. So we'll have to see him make that back up. Coming in, as we can see, it's put him behind.
So Jingle is level 6 now. We're starting to see level 6s coming across the board. Now's the time when Shen really wants to start trying to look for a play bot, because if he makes a play bot, forces the teleport out of Light Pulse, potentially. And he then has a chance to just TP back to lane and really gain a lot of lane pressure, since Light Pulse will just have to walk back to lane.
Right, and that's almost less of an advantage in... Oops, sorry.
There it is. There it is.
He goes in,
here we go.
ulting into Silent Taco. Silent Taco gets in. It's canceled. Light Pulse dropping the ultimate to cancel it.
He might get the kill. Oh, nice
having to force Light Pulse's flash because he got that beautiful taunt under tower, and that's what we were talking about. Where if he starts ulting, since he's pushed under tower, Light Pulse is going to have to not only go under tower, but ult him under his own tower, which is really dangerous for Wukong to do in this.
He wound up blowing his flash while Jingle kept it.
We might have to kill it here. Bukake Poro ulting Balakistron, but it's just not quite enough damage there. The ult not quite doing what it needed to do, and we're seeing that small advantage coming up for Balakistron in this Ahri.
It's one of those moments where if you run Ignite, that's a kill, though. It's all in choice. It's all in choice. But
I don't know if you saw it, but it looked like I'm fairly certain that right at the end, before they went into game,
was he
Poro? He was on Ignite right until the last second, and then switched it over to teleport. So we'll have to see. He's really gonna have that puts the pressure on him, especially now that he's losing his lane. Balakistron has done what he needed to do when he opted to take Ignite. That's win lane. He's winning lane right now.
Yep.
And that just puts the pressure on Bukake Poro to make something happen with that teleport. And now that his ult's down it's almost back up now, but for when it's down, that's just more time that he can't spend making big plays happen. So we'll have to see. We might see something happen here. Both junglers hovering around mid side. Jingo a little pushed up, opting out to fight here. I don't think this is going to end very well.
No, Jingo pops the ult on Silent Taco and gains a massive amount of health back.
Forced to flash the wall. It's good collapse by Comeback Kids there, but 7
ult
deadly
and
sins.
flash down now for Jingo.
Yeah, and I think that ult really surprised Silent Taco, because he came in, he did a good amount of burst on Jingo, and the Trundle ultimate just popped all that health back, and it really looked like for a moment he could have taken that 1v1, but Comeback gets faster on the collapse. We see Light Pulse ulting top lane, going in on Jingle, and Jingle turning this around. Light Pulse very low, Jingle chasing him down. Does he have the taunt ready? He flashes in and uses the Q. He has the taunt back up in 1 second. He goes in. Can he get it?
Meanwhile, in mid lane,
The minion's gonna do it.
blowing flash. And Jingo with the gank, and alright, they barely get it. Although Silent Taco coming with the cleanup. Oh my goodness. And it looks like Light Pulse does escape in top lane. Very nicely done.
That's probably the tough thing about Shen. Like, even if you start to be able to play a little bit aggressively, it's so tough to finish off some of those kills.
You have to land those taunts, and that's what it comes down to. And I think that that flash was premature.
Well, he was going for the flash so that he could get the Q pull through, so he could get the extra damage off of it. It just didn't end up being enough damage.
Yeah, and try to get the slowdown from pulling through that blade as well. It just didn't
And
work.
he-
Light Pulse was able to dash to minions away, and then do a nifty clone in the bush to just walk past him.
I feel that Jingle should have waited until his taunt had come back up before he attempted anything with his flash.
Yeah.
Because then it would have ensured that he stuck to him. Oh, and while we've been watching the other lanes, Silent Taco, living up to the silent part of his name, sneaking Earth Drake and then just slipping out the back there. picks up a nice bonus damage to neutral objectives.
This is what you get when you have two top laners casting a game. Sometimes they just focus top lane. Jingle's edged himself out a pretty solid CS lead here. I mean, it's only one wave, but into a bully matchup as Shen, getting a CS lead is always a good thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He's been ahead since early on. Lightpulse,
yeah,
not able to find these last hits.
Might have a gank coming in here. Violent Sociocat landing the hook and the ult coming in.
Nice done.
Very nice hook from Violent Sociocat. We might have the response gate coming up here in top lane, though. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how much I feel about that. And here we go. We have Lightpulse. Is that?
He's dead.
The TP's coming in.
He's down.
Oh,
And
well played by Jingle.
The teleport for Poro. The turn from Jingo Unchained. Does he have enough damage? No, not quite, but it looks like he will escape unless we see another amazing hook from Violent Sociocat. No, they look a little undecided, but in the end they end up conceding that it's not worth pursuing under tower. They saw how well that... Oh, absolutely well played by Jingle. Having the foresight to know that he had that kill on Lightpulse and that he could just
run
taunt away from his tower. It was very well played by him.
Yeah, both that Trundle and the Wukong having very squishy builds. Not the smartest of ideas to try a tower dive when you have no health or resistances up and he just
not
dies
a single
in
point.
4 quick tower shots.
Not a single point of bonus health or resistance on either of the champions having been built yet. So absolutely, oh, nice sidestep by Crimacree here in bot lane. Symphonic Salute's going to have to start landing those Qs if they're going to want to make start etching some advantages down there at bot lane.
Yeah.
The CS lead has grown in bot lane, but like I said, until you kill Draven and make his stacks no longer an option for him, you really can't. Right, you just don't have a lead until that threat is gone. So I think we should see Balakistran try to take that advantage that he had garnered in mid lane and start applying it in bot lane. See if they can't get Draven with that high mobility assassin on hard.
Yeah. It's still gonna be tough though, because I mean, if they can do it in the next few seconds, like next 40 seconds, they can make it happen. But any other play they make, they're gonna have the Shen ult for it.
Right.
And whoever Balakistran has to go in on, he's likely to go in onto Violet Sociocat.
Forcing the flash off of Violent Sociocat, which is pretty big, considering that now Violent Sociocat won't have that flash, that summoner spell for the and Scuttle with the body block there on the zap.
Hero Skelecrab.
Right.
But like I was saying, Violent Sociocat doesn't have that flash for the hooks, but it looks like we need a big team breaking out here.
Channel is not
targets, but it's just not. There's just no damage to follow up. Multiple flashes being forced, but Silent Talk gets a nice jump. He almost drops, but Draven picks up that kill. Is what we were talking about. Jinx picks up Silent Taco in the back, but now is in a very bad spot. We have a full health Malzahar, full health Draven walking towards you. You are not in a good spot right here.
This will eventually become a 4-for-1 trade.
Yeah, and there we go. So very nice team fight by Comeback Kids. And that's what we were talking about with getting those picks. They could really pick out the high damage carries from the other team, the threats, and that thresh is so important when it comes to making team fights that you want to happen.
Absolutely. And now just with
now
that play,
the Wukong blowing his teleport, but mad respect coming out from Team Comeback Kids, recognizing that.
Oh yeah, that Wukong could do some work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
as a result of that play now, Audrey Crimacree has himself about a 300 gold lead over that Jinx, which isn't a lot yet. It's a little minor item, but if that keeps to grow and gets to be a 1,000 gold lead or even larger,
Right.
That's gonna be a Draven that'll hurt.
Yeah. And as much as I have been praising Comeback Kids' fight there, I want to say that was good foresight by Jirachi on that Jinx to recognize that we're losing this, and I would rather make this a 4-for-1 than a 4-for-0.
Right. Wound up being able to at least pick up the kill onto
punish
Silent Taco.
Punish Silent Taco for making that jump, and Silent Taco now found the control ward in that Tri-Brush, given 7 Deadly Sins that extra vision there. So good ward placement overall by both teams, but
absolutely,
the deep ward's definitely coming in big, helping to prevent some definite mishaps from snowballing one team ahead of the other. And we see
light face check a Jingo here. Good pillar. The leap doesn't get over the wall. I'm not sure if Jingo's gonna have the damage to do this. The ulti gets popped. But the ult's coming in, and that's what I'm talking about. Like when you get the ult down, but just the target gets popped way too fast. But they'll still end up picking up a return kill onto Jingo, as Bukaki Poro managed to get them off as well.
Yeah, Bukaki Poro coming around that backside, and Jingo not getting out of there. He kept edging towards top lane during that fight instead of back towards Balakastron. So when Silent Taco got taken down, he just had nowhere to go but into
big ult from Symphonic Salute, forcing the exhaust from Violent Sociocat and the ult from OG Trinity, but it's not enough, and Jirachi takes a kill from Thresh.
I don't know if you were watching the setup for that. Oh no! I don't know if you were watching the setup for that.
Oh, and Jingle takes a kill in top though to respond.
Oh. Well.
Claypool's overstaying his welcome with low health, trying to recall into the turret against a full health, full armor Shen. He just dives in and picks up that kill.
Easy. We could see a similar case, not quite as much armor on the Jinx build, of course, but that Draven sticking around a little too close to that tower, being in vision against the Jinx. You know that the Jinx is going to try to zap you.
Yeah.
It comes out, it was very projected. I don't know if OG Crimacree was maybe in shop or something, not paying attention, but
yeah,
definitely very Violent Sociocat stepping a little too far forward. They get the Braum passive stun, and they opt to respect. They see Silent Taco over the wall. They respect that there could be more, and they don't want to pressure anything. Not with the dragon on the table. Violent Sociocat landing a hook, but I mean it's on Braum, so.
That play in the bot lane that got set up right before it started.
Symphonic Salute with a nice intercept.
Oh, I just need to wait on this because there's action
like something might happen, but I thought maybe that Malzahar side.
The Voidling, yeah.
The
Voidling even had a chance on it.
Yeah, that Void Swarm and the Call of the Void. That Call of the Void almost took it. I thought for a second that he was going to steal, but
that would have been slightly hilarious. I'm not gonna lie.
That's that Ocean Drake going over to Team 7 Deadly Sins. This gold lead is very minor on the side of Comeback Kids. Only 400 gold, not even 300 and change.
The concern for me, the only slight concern for me is a large part of the lead that we're about to see a face check potentially from Jingle. He does not have his flash.
No, he doesn't have his taunt either. The Thresh, but it's just barely too late. OG Crimacree on the side. Being forced to dropping the ult. The Ignite does finish off Balakastron. Flash is being blown everywhere. Jirachi just autoing through the entire fight there, picking up another triple kill. This is a big problem for Team Comeback Kids. When Jinx hits their late game at mid game, you are in trouble.
Well, and what I was starting to get into right before Jingle had the ever unfortunate face check into a Trundle and a Wukong, the hefty part of the gold at that point, like the gold lead at least, was really in Jingle. Jingle was the one who was fairly well ahead. At this point now, Bukaki Poro's getting a little bit of a lead over Balakastron, but the bulk of the lead the bulk of the gold for Seven Deadly Sins is in that Jinx, and that's exactly where you want it. Shen can do okay with gold, but he's not the one who's going to carry team fights late game. You need that on the Draven or on the Malzahar. While the Malzahar's there, the Malzahar's even 900 gold down of Jinx. And there are very few 80 carries that scale as well as Jinx does. And so that's scary if I'm Comeback Kids, that Jinx is sitting now almost 2k gold up on OG Crimacry.
And we were talking about how Comeback Kids' win condition here is kind of to get a pick on one of the enemy champions and then fight 4v5. Well, their window has just gotten smaller. They almost have to get a pick on the Jinx now. They really have to kill Jirachi before they seriously consider having any sort of team fight. That Jinx already has an Infinity Edge and Rudon's Hurricane built, so that team fight damage is massive.
Well, when I've played against Jirachi on this Jinx before, he is very good at knowing what Jinx does well and just staying in the back line and just being that consistent DPS. It's so hard, especially when you have a Braum and a Trundle.
Bukake Poro landing a nice ult, and Silent Talker gets in for the assassination, jumps back out. Nice flash while ulting by Light Pulse on Wukong to knock up both Bukake Poro and Silent Taco. So it looks like Silent Taco's making it out. They might opt a tower dive here, but I don't think they have quite enough health to make it work, so they're just going to take the 2-for-1 and move back towards the mid lane.
That moment when I'm praising Jirachi for good positioning and good distance, and then he just walks right up to a Malzahar. General,
Silent Taco looking to maybe get a nice return kill on Jingo here. Ooh, flash blown by Jingo and jump away by Silent Taco. OG Crimacry kind of caught.
Yeah, and after that, you see a charm on the Violet Sociocat as Braum goes in, gets the stun. Light Pulse is back in, going under. Light Pulse is tanking the turret. Nice he goes down to Shen. Shen staying strong in that front line, able to hold him off and take a kill back.
Very nicely played by Jingle to recognize that Light Pulse stepped back to break tower aggro to go back in, but didn't step back quite far enough. And very nicely done by Jingle to recognize that tower was still shooting at Light Pulse and to get the right taunt target down. Ooh, big damage coming in, but we have Jingle and Silent Talk coming in from the side. Jirachi goes down again, ult from Bukake Poro on the Braum, and the jump reset for the Draven ult to clean up the low health Ahri before she can ult away. Absolutely disgusting, and that's what we were talking about with that win condition. They got a good catch. Jinx was low health, and
yeah, there were pings onto Baron coming out now. That was like 3 minutes of solid fighting outside of the tier 2 mid. They got the tankiness, and Kha'Zix does well with taking objectives, especially with the Evolved Q.
Look how far quickly this is melting. They've got the controllers, two of them.
It's a one-way trip here for Jingo if he's going to steal. He does not have flag.
Steal, but they do have Light Pulse with the ult, but both are just losing way too much, way too quickly, and they both get cleaned up. Baron take and
2 kills.
2 more kills for Comeback Kids.
That's exactly what Comeback Kids needed in this game. Jinx, after getting caught by the Malzahar, picked up that Quicksilver Sash, which really took away a lot of what Comeback Kids needed, and that was to lock down that Jinx as he AFK walks into the team, flashed away from the hook. Oh, he takes the kill on the Silent Taco.
Just an elaborate bait. Oh, and the cancel teleport for Malzahar. Getting that disengage that his team needed though, so.
Yeah. It sucks to lose the TP cooldown.
Oh, and the teleport again by the Wukong coming in. Uh-oh. Ooh, good taunt by Shen to get out of
Very nice stand aside by Draven into that small little path to
knowing
ult all the engage.
Wukong had only one option, was to go through that small path.
This is going to hand over another Ocean Drag over to 7 Deadly Sins.
Ooh, almost again.
Is he smiting those dragons? Because I don't think I see a smite come down on these dragons. Either that or he's missing these smites.
Well, he's running challenging smites. Maybe he's just like, we got this. I'm saving my smite for when I go try and kill somebody.
but still, that's risky. You run giving those dragons over. It's not so much that the
We have the
ocean dragons-
longest scuttle crab in history happening right now, folks. Symphonic Salute versus Scuttle Crab. And he wins.
Victory,
The three
Braum.
That was actually kind of humorous to watch.
Braum won,
auto
Scuttle
attack
Crab
for
0.
7 years.
Yeah, those are usually a lot easier to take when you have allies nearby who
Yes.
actually do damage. Jingle a little pushed up here. We might see a punish if he moves a little bit far forward. He's standing right on that line of scrimmage, but he's got those wards around the Baron pit from that
Absolutely.
early Baron. I like the idea of splitting with Jingle, but you got the Baron buff. I feel that Comeback Kid should be grouping mid here, helping out Bukaki Poro, who's by himself. Ooh, barely doesn't get hit by that taunt, but it might not be enough. Nice Lantern by Violent Sociocat. Oh, and the ult barely goes wide by Jinx, and they get a take onto Trundle here.
This
And
Trundle
we're getting
is
pings
not
on
building.
outside, but
This Trundle is not building any tank stats. He just went down straight up to that Kha'Zix damage right
Yeah.
away. He's not. I don't know what his thought process is on this build path, but he's not getting in there dealing a whole lot of damage. He's just dying right away at this point. He
Right.
I
probably
think
would have been
he's-
better with good boots and a Cinder Hulk instead.
It looks like he's building.
Titanic
looks
Hydra.
like he's building Titanic Hydra, but he's so behind in his build.
TP
because of
coming
how
in from
far-
Bukaki Boro to the top lane? No, that wasn't a TP. I was like, what?
No, it's an
Ooh, nice hook! Means forcing the flash and a kill.
Channel just coming in.
And Drake just dart. Champion Draven with those massive kills. But Wukong comes in for the counter engage. Nice, well, knocking up all three members. Violet Sister got caught for the Inhib Tower and aggro while Jingle took the second tier. Nice counter engage by Seven Deadly Sins to recognize how absolutely ham and that, you know what, if all your carries have died, it doesn't really mean much if the enemy team's a bunch of
It's a Shen and a Thresh, right?
that are between two towers, taking aggro. So very nice turnaround by Seven Deadly Sins to have the foresight to pull that back and say, okay, if they want to keep fighting, we can actually turn now. So
Right. I kind of would have liked to have seen Comeback Kids play this all a little bit slower. You were talking about Shen and split pushing, and one of the things that Shen does very well come late game is split push. Whether it's not necessarily because he'll have the kill pressure, but just his ulti can get there so much faster than a chain of TP.
he's so
And if he can
mobile.
find and if he can find a way to keep Light Pulse in the side lane until you guys want to engage, until you've gotten your what would probably be a 1-3-1 or a 1-4 set up, get your Baron buff in as many lanes as possible. I just feel like they rushed that a little bit. They got the play they were ultimately looking for, which was for Shen to ult in from a side lane into a fight. But I just feel like they rushed it ever so slightly that it wasn't as set up. And so I think when they actually finally fought, Bukaki Poro had just backed. And so he wasn't actually able to get in for any of that fight. That was a 4v5 that they just fought.
Right. And the big problem with how the Comeback Kids treated that Baron, they didn't do nearly enough with it. When you get a Baron, your team should be grouping up and having like 1 or 2 members split, or just grouping as 5 mid. You should be sieging towers and taking. They didn't take a single tower with that.
They took one tower in bot lane, but it was they took
The
it
first
while. Yeah, they took the first tier, but they took that while Seven Deadly Sins were taking the dragon, and it was just minions. They didn't even physically take it themselves.
Right. Like, when you get an objective... Ooh, big flash here coming in by Final Sociocat. Landing on the Braum. Not sure if that's the target they want, but they're still melting him down. And he does go
Channel
down.
is up. Oh, but he's already in the fight.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be needed. He landed a taunt on the Braum. Lots of chained crowd control there. Getting a pick on Braum. Not sure if that's worth Violent Sociocat's flash, but we'll see. Oh! Ooh, that hook could have been trouble for Jirachi. Ooh.
Blackastrain going in for
the
Silent
flash.
Taco.
Oh, keeps him
The
alive.
channel.
There.
Oh, well played.
Oh, but the Jirachi with the return kill. It's just
Mega
back and
Death.
forth. Ooh, nice instantly QSS. Wukong jumping in and ulting, knocking up 2 members, 3. But Jirachi ends up going down even with all that peel. It's just not quite enough, and without
These fights are ridiculous.
They're still pushing for this.
And Symphonic Salute is now here. The man who died to start off all of this is now back. These fights are
that
all over
Malzahar
the place.
is a massive problem for 7 Deadly Sins.
Yes.
He is just dealing so much damage. He's got that Leandry's Torment down. He's shredding through
And the
all their
Rylai's.
stats. And once Balakastron got picked off by a nice play by Silent Taco with Jingle to back him up, there was just no
I don't know if
helpful
they win
damage
this
to
here.
try and lock that Malzahar down. They're trying to go in on him. They get the flash. They,
1 for 1.
Yep, they get
Wow.
that Braum
It's just
Q
that
onto him.
slow, though. The Malefic Vision's slow. Well, the Malefic Vision's damage over time, proccing that Rylai's slow onto Light Pulse, preventing him from chasing after Violent Sociocat, leaving that to only be a 1 for 1. So,
He's still
Uh-oh.
chasing though.
oh, but a nice pick, nice blue trinket. I believe that if that blue trinket hadn't gone down, I don't think they would have. I don't think Light Pulse would have gotten to that brush in time to see Violent Sociocat backing. So, very, very nicely done by Light Pulse and Balakastron.
So it appears that we are slowing down a little bit now. This has been a very hectic last 10 minutes of this game. Gold lead's sitting about 3K for Comeback Kids. They certainly have the map pressure right now. A large part of that, Silent Taco's playing very well on this Kha'Zix, and Bukaki Poro is very dangerous. He could probably 1v1 anybody on 7 Deadly Sins right now, which is not a great place to be with your 7 Deadly Sins playing into a Malzahar.
I don't know. I feel like Jirachi might actually do all right. It would just be which
If Jirachi's QSS is off cooldown,
right,
then
I
that'd
believe
be
it
the
currently
caveat.
Is,
Yeah,
and
it's currently off cooldown.
so.
So I guess that'd be the one caveat in that. But like
But like you're
They-
saying, this
they
Bukaki
need to
Poro is
figure out a
huge
way to
problem.
deal with him.
And the part of the reason he's such a big problem is because he's not the only problem, and that's why
They
he's
have-
such a big issue. Is because
they
they have
have
to
to
worry
put
about Kha'Zix,
Silent
they have to
Taco
worry
too.
about Draven. Like Draven also just does so much damage.
Baron start up immediately. There is vision of it, and they're
so
not
much signal
clearing
from
it.
the game.
7 Deadly Sins
Coming
just
out.
not in position for
Oh,
this
and the
Baron at
hook on
all.
Jirachi.
Oh,
Oh
and she
my
gets
goodness.
That was a huge pick. Jinx is down,
And
and,
now
it looks like the
Salute
Braum
is
is
out
going
of
to be
position.
next.
Questionable flash.
it almost worked. It almost worked.
Almost got it, but not quite.
That was a
Surprising
cheeky
Violent
flash.
Sociopaths with that flash. Didn't really expect that. Missing the play out of just
The PM mastery flashes coming from Team Comeback Kids saying, we don't need to come back this game, we're ahead.
Well, they did come back a little bit. They were down at one point.
Oh,
for a
hook
little
on to
while.
Michaels, but I don't know if you want to go in on that. Yeah, because you run into that issue of, oh my goodness, Violent Sociocat with these hooks is
Crazy.
just insane.
Has he missed the one other than the one that got flashed?
Oh, bringing Silent Taco very low, but doesn't quite kill him.
oh, and he's
Jinx
taken
on
down
the-
by the Super Mega Death Rocket
They
again.
could still end the game right here.
Jirachi
No,
with the
It's just a
snipes.
Jinx and a Braum, and it's 30 seconds on the Trundle. They could still end this game. They have
Bot
not
lane
even
against the Will. Symphonic Salute with a nice Q onto Primacree, but Primacree just says, I'm just gonna fight Jinx. Ooh, heal popped. Bukaki Poro very low. Very low.
Hey, Bukake Poro was tanking that.
If one
was
kill
taking
goes
that
over.
base turret.
Oh my
Jinx
goodness.
is so
Shen
close to
blocking
reset.
all those auto attacks. Yeah, it looks
Oh
like
my
the
gosh.
Comeback Kids are gonna opt to back out now and reset the map. Probably go take Dragon, push out bot lane here.
Good on Jirachi and Symphonic Salute to stall that, though, because there was the Comeback Kids had every chance where they could have finished that. Jingle
We have-
might end up getting caught. He does
What we're
have
saying
Fang
is,
Teeth,
well,
so he has some MR.
Closes flash.
And he'll
to
have to blow his flash. I think he was out of there. I think he'd have been okay, but better safe than sorry at this point in the game.
Right.
He only saw one of the Ari ult charges come down, so he didn't know that she was out at that point. So he better safe than sorry. Flashes away, makes sure he can get out there and get back for his team and heal up.
I'm not sure if it's worth a steal attempt here from Silent Taco.
I don't
He
know.
go in. He goes in with the Shen ult coming out, but Jirachi secures it for the red team. Shen with the taunt onto the backline and the Balakistron as everyone else jumps over that pit,
CP's
takes
coming
down
in from
Symphonic
Light
Salute. Light Pulse on the backside, taking out Silent Taco as he goes back over the wall.
Only a single target ultimate from Light Pulse. I'm not sure how worth that is. And yeah, you got Silent Taco, but that's something that, with the right amount of peel, a Jinx could do while killing the other members of the enemy team, you know?
Right.
You just... What Seven Deadly Sins should be looking for is a good team fight where Light Pulse can get in, ult the team up, and have Braum stand in front to protect Jirachi while Jirachi just melts the team, but they kept getting hit by Violent Sociopath's hooks.
This might just be game.
Yeah, this looks a little desperate. Looks like they're just focusing.
Draven's down though.
Doesn't look like they're gonna get it. Maybe. This Shen is so tanky though. Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Game 1 goes to the Comeback Kids.
38 minutes, 33 to
38
25.
even.
So get ready to log your votes for MVP. I'm gonna get that poll up here in just a second.
All right. So let's talk about what do you think were the big, what things did you think affected that game so much in it going towards the Comeback Kids' favor there?
What was when Malzahar got fed. There was a fight. It was a really weird fight. A lot of those were really weird fights, but there was one fight where Malzahar picked up 2 or 3 kills, and all of a sudden was sitting at like 4-2-2 or something, and really managed to close a lot of that gap between him and Balakistran on the Ahri, and was really able to then do the job that Balakistran was trying to do just as well. That was instantly when Jirachi had to pick up the QSS, and that was when they just had so much damage in their death ball that you couldn't run at him and you couldn't attempt to assassinate him.
I don't disagree, but I don't think they were as strong as you think they were. I think a big part of why it looked like Comeback Kids were so far ahead is because of Violent Sociocat's amazing hooks all game. It's what started snowballing Bukake Poro in mid lane with that beautiful hook on Ahri, which netted them a kill. And just every team fight towards late game was initiated by a really nice hook by Violent Sociocat landing, I think, all but one time, one of the carries from the other team, whether it was Ahri or Jinx. And it made those fights not even close. When you have the follow-up of Draven throwing his axes and Shen taunting forward and Kha'Zix jumping on top of the target, those hooks are massive. And I think that Violent Sociocat single-handedly carried their team in through the late game to that victory.
And I guess I wasn't necessarily saying that like Bukake Poro was the MVP. I'm just the time that it changed was once he was able to be that force. I guess that was more what I was saying. What are your thoughts, Dylan?
Well, I'm gonna say the name of that game was Death Sentence. Death Sentence, Death Sentence, Death Sentence. After quite a not very impressive showing on Violet Sociocat's iconic Thresh play the last time they were allowed to pick that up, just absolutely came out here and dominated Seven Deadly Sins with that. It was landing hook after hook after hook, just taking down the carries, hitting the priority targets. A few good interceptions by Braum, but the Malzahar percent health shred just took him down anyway. It didn't even matter at that point who they hooked. They were landing, and that was more than enough for their team to get those quick picks at the start of a fight and able to win those fights in 4v5's fashion.
Yeah,
just
big Go ahead. Sorry.
I did just want to say real quick, looking at the damage charts, Bukaki Poro almost dealt twice as much as everybody else in the game. He dealt 45k. The next closest was Balakistran on the Ari, who dealt 25k. That's a lot of damage.
Right.
That's not me sitting like, I'm not trying to say like Bukaki Poro for MVP. I'm just saying like,
Oh no! I mean,
Yeah.
I totally agree. Like, I will absolutely acknowledge that Bukake Poro was huge that game. Absolutely killed it on that Malzahar. Had fairly nice ults for the most part, maybe with the exception of that first one. Didn't work out so great for him, but from then on, it felt like those ults were very impactful. And I don't think that a single time after Jirachi picked up that QSS did he ult Jirachi. So
Right.
it almost made the QSS purchase pointless. At least it wasn't used for the purpose that it was purchased for, and that was big.
right.
I think that the reason, sorry, I'll finish saying this real quick. I think the reason that
That's fine.
Jirachi never got the opportunity to use that QSS for the Malzahar ultimate is because Violent Sociocat again was landing the hooks that meant her death, and it just wasn't
Yeah.
optimal. So okay.
All right, so we're gonna be right back. We're gonna cut the stream really quick, get your votes in for MVP, and we'll be back in a few minutes.